Welcome to another installment of Fail Forward Friday. I am Malesela and my CEO again has let me down. He's not here today, but we have a friend of the show, and yes, it's going to be a great show. So before we start, let me explain how this works. Again, the whole reason we started Fail Forward Friday is so that mistakes that businesses and other entrepreneurs do, that we don't have to go through them. And therefore, we bring two stories. Doc usually brings a story. I bring a story. We talk about the blunders in those stories and the learnings that we get from those stories. So in this episode, we're going to do something similar. I got a friend of the show again, like I said, and his name is, introduce yourself.
My name is Ludik, and I work in a company called Best Web Design. And my offspring in life is about digital first and making sure that it resonates with users.
I like how he says, and I work. He actually owns the show. He started the show.
Try and be humble where you can.
And it's a very successful company, guys. So what we're going to speak about here is something that obviously is very dear to your heart, which is obviously business. And yeah, man, it will be quite interesting. I mean, we've been talking a lot around, let's get on the show together, and eventually we got it to happen.
No, it's been taking quite a while. Like I must say, I was like, let's do it now, and then we needed to try and get our calendars synced.
So yeah, I mean, with someone as busy as you, I'm sure.
No, I'm sure you can say the same. I mean, when you're busy, you're busy.
When you're busy, you're busy.
Busy
True. Yes. So what we're going to talk about today, Ian? Maybe give us a roundabout, because I know we spoke about it a bit, but yeah.
So I think what I would like to chat about, right? Obviously, with a fail forward kind of theme or topic, I think that there's a lot of potential in our country and in the whole of Africa where businesses can thrive, but I think a big thing or a stumble block, if you would, or a hurdle that a lot of businesses need to still overcome is the ability to pivot. A lot of the times we have all of the opportunities out there, and we maybe have the funding or the business idea or the creativity around it, but we do not know how to kind of utilize the digital environment quick enough or good enough, and it often kind of makes us like stagnate, or we pick up on trends too late, and then your business kind of falls behind, and competitors come in and grab the market.
Maybe give an audience a bit of example of what a digital first would look like. What is the ideal in this sense, maybe from a legacy point of view into this? And obviously there are going to be quite a lot of examples I saw that you have, but give us an idea of what this digital first looks like.
So I think blue sky would be to have every touch point of your business have some sort of ability to digitalize. Seeing that where we are in the day and age with technology getting so quick to the floor in innovation, I think a lot of the time we forget about the digital first part. And digital first is like, it can be from building rockets, it could be from automating some of your workflows, your calendars, whatever the case might be. But I think it's like for every business there's a different touch point. And it's about how you as a business owner uniquely identify opportunities where it comes with digital, and keeping in mind how that influences not just your internal business structure, but also how it influences your customers. The customer's experience is key. At the end of the day, especially in this day and age, people are no longer just about where do I buy my bread. They want to know, how do I buy my bread conveniently.
And how it gives me the advantage in that sense.
For sure.
Okay, so now when you say digital first, I'm thinking of its efficiency basing. How can I use the digital landscape in my business to make me a bit more efficient so that I can give a better...
Look, I think it's like the efficiency part is one of the the foundational parts that it can bring to your business.
Yeah.
There's obviously other parts where it can
communication,
bring technical advancements. It can bring improved communication. It can streamline efficiencies.
Yeah.
It can do a lot for your business, but it's, again, like I said, I think efficiency is where most people can get quick fixes from
yes.
it. And then there are other parts where it can kind of really enhance your product or service offering.
Okay. And the thing is, I think of that, would you say that sometimes digital first is not needed? Because I mean, the big conversation now is, and maybe from my experience and what I've seen trying to take my product out there, is sometimes people want to see results as in now within how much does it save me, or how much how can I see as an SME or SME the benefits right there and then. And sometimes they kind of like very slow to adopt because they don't think that this thing will help them, but actually this thing is going to help you much more. But at the same time, you're not just going to do technology or tech first for the sake of doing it if you don't necessarily also know what the return is.
It's a good point you bring in there, because it's about validating it with customers first. A lot of people come up with crazy cool ideas, but they don't know how to place them within an environment where it can thrive. Right? And a lot of the times it's they'll see something like another company did and they think it's a copy paste. And I often see this with especially South African and African businesses, is that they would go abroad and see something work there, and then they come over and try and copy paste it, and it doesn't work because Africa is different. Right? Africa is different. We're a little kind of always leading behind when it comes to using tech in our everyday life. But it's not necessarily because we're behind. It's just because of we haven't evolved as a culture in terms of everyone being able to have access to the internet or having devices. So it's quite a small minority, and that is quickly changing. But because it's quickly changing, there's a lot of people that have gotten used to having a digital tool at their fingertips. And because of that, I think it's become like everyone is it's accessible. So they quickly touch this, do that, and because of that, people are expecting results overnight. But I mean, if we go into some of the companies that I'd like to talk about later, you'll see that none of them really started and got success overnight. There was a process, and some of these companies will look into have kind of reached success, then failed again. Someone bought them over, reached success again, failed again. And it's essentially someone kind of passing the ball, and someone's taking the ball and passing it again. And it's, one man's trash is another man's treasure. 100%,
because then you can find something in there that will benefit you more than anything else.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. I want to let's maybe get into some of these guys' stories.
Great. So I think to start off with, right, I would like to kind of focus on a few, or just quickly discuss a few companies that most of us know from the retail and entertainment industry that we know kind of have failed. Every company fail, and some dismally and others not. But I think one that comes to mind is Edgars. That have kind of been there. We know the Red Square. Very long, and it's been there for how long? And they got to a point where they were put into business rescue. Another company bought them over. They started again, went better, and then COVID hit. Again, retail suffered. They were bought again. So that to me is a good example of a company that's failed. Another company I would say is CNA. Selling books for how long? And we all bought our stationery there.
100%. Come December, January.
And then they heard about the internet. They heard about e-commerce shopping. They just never really picked up on how can we utilize it. And it wasn't like it was rocket science. There was a lot of companies doing the same thing. They were just becoming an old giant. And I think a recent one that I really picked up on is Ster Kinekor.
Okay,
also really big. I mean, that guy made millions in the entertainment space because people couldn't, have a cinema experience at home, and it became a social thing. Now, after COVID, they struggled.
Yes.
With the influx of Netflix and Showmax and all these entertainment spaces, people don't want to
they're
the
willing to
cinema
wait for a movie, for instance.
Exactly. Why pay for a movie if you can just watch it from
for 160
from
rand,
the comfort of your couch?
Exactly. Now, actually, do you maybe have an example of the psyche? Because we generally talk about these kind of people that not necessarily that don't pivot, but that lose focus, as we call it. We say they lose focus of what they actually are selling, So again, for instance, like how Kodak was not necessarily selling film, they were selling photos, and they didn't realize that, and they failed to, as you would say, pivot in that sense. Now, what is your take on the psyche of maybe a business or an entrepreneur that actually sees something and thinks, no, we'll never fail? What do you think is...
It's a difficult one, because there's so many businesses that have become giants and then they think that they control the space. But I think it's like the hero's journey, right?
Yeah.
You start off and you work hard, you climb that mountain, you reach the top, you get to the top and you realize, okay, close to the end of I'm going to see this amazing view. It's tough. Eventually you get to the top and you realize that I have to climb all the way down. And I think a lot of people, and when it comes to companies, they enjoy their success when they're on top of the mountain.
Yeah.
But when they're looking down, they don't realize that, okay, we have to actually go down, climb down, and then find a bigger mountain, that next adventure.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of companies, what most companies have started or stopped doing, right, is keep their finger on the pulse when it comes to their customers.
Yes, okay.
It used to be something where you own something because there's a demand and you sell it, but demand has shifted so quickly and companies are easily able to kind of start competing with big brands because of the tools to our disposal.
Yes.
And customers, what I've found is companies that are doing really well are the ones that are still kind of resonating with their audience or their customers, and they're listening to their customers. They're trying to figure out what is it that make them tick. How can we make their lives better? It's not about themselves. It's about how we can improve something. And I often find companies that kind of made good money, right, filled a demand or a need in the market, but they stopped listening to what our customers actually want next. What is it that, like, okay, cool, I've got this now, but what's the next thing? What's the next adventure? And companies that can say, look, we're going to help you climb down this mountain, but we'll show you the next one. Those are the ones that work.
I like how you say that. That's actually a good analogy, because I think of how Apple was that company. And I say was because now they are seeing flames.
Yeah, bro. I'm even here sitting with a Mac and I sometimes feel embarrassed.
And we love it, though.
Manufactured in China. I think it's a good example. For me, it's like, there's lots of companies that have done this, lots of companies that have kind of made great comebacks. And I think the companies that succeed are the ones that are realize that you can't become complacent.
100%. 100%.
As soon as you start sitting on a couch, you're picking up, the effects of the couch. And I think, it's I often use this analogy with the mountain, because the adventure seeker always seeks that thrill of the mountaintop and the view.
So Mount Everest. And
most of the time, climbing up is not hard. It's climbing down that's hard. It's tough on your knees. It's tough on your, because you've got nothing to look forward for.
Exactly.
And that's when you build again. That's when you grind for the next.
What does Jeff Bezos say? It's always first day? The first day mentality. Always have a first day mentality.
And it's a step by step.
Day one mentality, as he says.
We often, and I think we have this consumerism and digital lifestyle that we live to blame, because it has made us kind of not want to wait. Right? There's very few people that can invest and work smart with what they have and build. They kind of just consume until it's done and then they start again.
Yes.
So I think on that topic, there's a few companies in South Africa that I felt that they had humble beginnings, started with something, and then they realized that, okay, maybe we should not do what we want to do.
Yes.
Maybe we should do what the customers want us to do.
Yeah.
And that's when they started seeing,
the growth and everything. Yeah.
An example is you're familiar with the company Yoko.
Yes.
Yoko was started by 4 university friends. And a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, the one of the starting founders actually had a company, an e-commerce giant from Nigeria. He helped set that up, Jumia.
Oh,
and,
okay, Jumia. It was on the New York
Jumia,
Stock Exchange and everything. Yeah,
it's not his company, but he helped set it up. And I think he learned what they do wrong and what they do and what customers actually want. And from that, the need he realized was that it's great having an e-commerce shop in Africa, but most people still struggle with paying,
the normal,
like the informal settlement, which is a huge market in South Africa. And that's where they came up with this idea to originally start and create a speed point. Just your normal kind of swipe a card. And then they realized, okay, but people don't really have cards here. They have cash. And, that's it. And then they moved that and they started they launched it with the idea that it's going to be a success. It wasn't doing that great. And then they started
This is the speed point.
Then they started listening to the customers. What do they want? How do they want it? Because they were trying to make a speed point that's affordable for the informal settlement. And they eventually realized that, sure, affordability is one thing. But another thing is we have some obstacles. We have limited signal in the informal settlements. We have a slow boundary to enter because people don't all of them have cards. And then they started creating the paperless payment, the tap to go. He teamed up with another lady, Lungi. Lungi was one of the world first mobile VoIP lines. Started a company and he teamed up with them to then eventually create the Yoko Speed Point and give it some enhancements where it can kind of run off a SIM card. You can tap and it now.
So was that not a thing back in the days?
It wasn't a thing. You had to kind of put it in a plug, dial up the internet, and they made it mobile. And now these days,
everyone has one.
Everyone is using the same.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that.
No, it's. I mean, it's one of those things. Like when you innovate, we don't really consume the idea and the person behind it. We consume what it brings to us.
Instead of the problem, as you say.
Since then, they've kind of realized, in order for them to really capture the market. They have to not just provide a speed point, that's great. They have to kind of go further and help fund informal establishments and provide them with the ability to grow their business. Because the more they grow, So it's one hand washes the other.
No, but okay, maybe speak around how they, because my question is, we are still a cashless, a more cash. I don't know if that's the word, pro-cash nation, right? Where a lot more people want to see the cash because the cash is safe when you see them.
Shall we go into why? I think it's a difficult topic because I think people, especially in South Africa, sometimes struggle to trust. We struggle to trust big corporations with our money, but we also do not want to always pay the tax man. And people have this concept of
if you
paying tax is bad for me because what am I going to get from it? But I kind of want to flip
the coin,
people's perception about that because I think you, being a Christian man, know about tithing. And when you give, without expecting something back, you get way more back. And when you pay tax, you should be paying tax with from your heart that this is going to make our country great. And I think that will turn the tide and people will start using it more.
It's actually funny you say that because I think one of the other issues on that is when someone promises you something for something else, then you have an expectation. And the problem, I think, as well, is that expectations of what taxes are supposed to have been doing are not there. So, and exactly what you're saying there is that I've never actually thought about it in that way from a tithing and a tax point of view to say, give the tax what you give, but for the sake of giving and hopefully helping someone, not even thinking coming back.
when you give any form of like, whether it's skilled labor, talent, skill,
yes,
whatever,
it comes back to you.
right? You give it, and if you are someone that gives it with a smile,
Yes.
the other smiles that it will contribute will come back to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think we all kind of are guilty of this. When we want to pay the tax, man, we're like,
yeah.
why do I need to do it? You know,
Yeah.
and you can bring in that car and voice or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like people moan about a lot of things, but I think because we moan, we're spreading that negativity, and it's definitely like, it's not easy to be positive, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to be negative, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of the reason why we still operate in cash is because people do not want
Yeah.
to share their hard-earned cash with something that they feel is going to not come
Yeah.
to fruit.
So again, it's that expectations thing, is that I expected you to do so because you said you're going to do so, but you're not. You promised it,
for
and now
many
you're not
years,
doing it,
yeah.
and then it's just like, oh, you know what? It's almost like you're saying, like these churches, for instance, that would they supposedly take your money and then they go squander it in some other way. You're like, but guys, and you forget that you gave it and you said, listen, I'm letting go, I'm giving it with a cheerful heart, and
you
yet
stop giving when
because you see what these people are doing. You know what I mean?
If it's not doing good, it's not coming back to, like, I believe of currency as it's not supposed to be something that you possess.
Yeah.
It's a circulation thing, right?
Yes. And that's a good point.
And the quicker and easier you can circulate, the more will come to you.
Yeah.
Right? And the smarter you become at how you circulate, the more will come to you. I think it's there was a really good time in my life where I was struggling, dude, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to pay for these bills. And I was like, I went on my knees, and normally you go on your knees when you're not at the end. You're like, you normally only ask for help when you're like,
when it's like,
it's struggling
at its wit's end.
And I was just like asking, like, why do I have to struggle? And I think the man upstairs was telling me, like, he'll give me as much zeros as I can handle. And it changed my mind completely, because I think people often think of it as like, this guy is more entitled or more privileged or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's the core of us that can get. And if you have that spirit where you know that you're not confined by what you have, that you're willing to give, it's a lot easier for you to get again.
Yeah.
And it's like anyone that normally like argues with me, I try and tell them, like, go test it for yourself. And then come back to me and tell me if you feel a spiritual movement in yourself.
Yes.
At least feel a difference in your bank.
Yes. Okay, so basically, Yoko then took advantage of a society, a start of a new.
So they realized that there's a problem.
Right?
And then they try to fulfill that need.
Yes.
And then as they fulfilled that need, as most companies do, you jump into more obstacles. Because you having a business is about how do you efficiently overcome obstacles, essentially.
Okay.
It's like raising a child. You know? The more you put into that child, the better that child becomes. The smarter that child is, the quicker he'll learn, and the better he will become a asset to society.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe let's move from there, right? I want to talk maybe around, and maybe we can come back to the guys that you list there. But have you ever thought of how? And this happens obviously all over the world. So the fact that businesses do not innovate. I mean, we've spoken about a lot of these, your Nokias, your Blackberries, your, all these companies out there that have failed, have not pivoted, But do you think to a certain extent it starts societal, from a societal point of view, rather than from it's just those guys that just didn't see themselves going to innovate?
I think yes and no. I think it's different for different people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not denying privilege. I think that there are definitely people that have kind of had head starts in life.
Yeah.
But an example of what I'm trying to kind of pick at, right, is that are you familiar with, obviously, when COVID happened, right, the whole transition from having to go to a store to buy groceries to
online shopping,
right? So people that are positive and normally kind of builders and leaders are the ones that are always kind of watching and they are dialed in, right?
Yeah.
They're dialed in on opportunity, not what is dragging them down.
Yes.
They don't have time for that. They dialed in an opportunity. I'll take, for example, there was a mobile app before everyone started even ordering groceries called Bottles Delivery.
Yes, I know.
And Bottles Delivery was acquired by Pick n Pay, right? And people were like, okay, Pick n Pay can now, But what people don't realize is that a lot of companies approached Pick n Pay way before COVID and said, let's go online. And they were like, nah, no one's going to use it, no one's going to use it, no one's going to use it. And then Checkers went and did it.
Yeah.
During COVID, so they pushed to market in a formidable speed. And then it forced Pick n Pay's hand to be like, let's pay 33 million rand to acquire the Bottles Delivery app in order to
yes, it sounds like that's not a lot of money.
To sell our own product, right? And the funny enough is like this app was created and pitched to them before COVID, right? And then these guys that owned bottles had to kind of pivot during COVID because they could no longer sell alcohol.
Yes.
So they started selling groceries. And they were such a success that they had to start renting, Ubers and things to deliver the product. And that's when they went back to Pick n Pay and said, listen, guys.
We can.
Here's the proof. And then they were like, well, we're kind of forced now. Let's buy it. And I think that's a society thing. I mean, it's like if the opportunity wasn't there and created by the need within that difficult time. Yeah. Pick n Pay would have never acquired Bottles. Bottles would have still probably be delivering alcohol. Yeah. And now it's kind of just a means to kind of stay competitive towards Checkers, which, Checkers is giving them a run for their money. Hopefully with this new partnership Pick n Pay has with their loyalty rewards program, it might bring them back with the Standard Bank and all that. But
it'll be interesting to see. Okay, what else do you have for us?
So, I think let's talk about some comeback stories, right?
Okay.
And then I'll go over to some businesses that I thought saw opportunity quickly and jumped on it and made a success. But I think one of my favorite comeback stories is Nando's.
Okay.
And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but it was started by two Portuguese family members, South Africans, and they kind of sat at a restaurant called Chicken Land. And they thought, nice peri-peri
I'm guessing
chicken.
It's not in South Africa.
It was a South African business, I think the business was somewhere in the East Rand.
Oh, wow.
I'm not quite sure about the location of it, but they essentially bought this business, right? Yeah. And changed it to Nando's, which is named after one of the guy's newborn son.
Wow. This is a guy called Nando's out there.
It's not Nando's, it's like Nando something, right?
Okay, hectic.
I wrote it here somewhere, right? But Fernando and Robert basically started this business, and they bought it in 1987, right? Now, obviously, with all the political things that happened back then, they saw an opportunity, that most African people like chicken. Yes. And let's see how it works. And I think they struggled a bit in the beginning because they were trying to sell the African vernacular or culture, and they couldn't really do it, right? Yeah. They then decided, I think the Dick Enthoven was the owner of the company who invested and put a lot of money into it. Yeah. And he got some connections overseas. Yeah. They went overseas. It was a huge success. Yes. They went from having one shop to 1,000 by, I think, 2012. And then
that's obviously in South Africa and overseas as well.
So in South Africa at that time, they only had like 3 shops. So it became a success overseas before it became a success in South Africa. And it was a huge success. People loved the chicken. Yeah. And they tried to bring that African culture into the European market, which they did and succeeded. And then they realized, well, we're kind of like, from my perspective, we're being a bit fake here because we're selling the African culture, but we're not able to sell really in South Africa. Yeah. And then they thought of how can they kind of bring that African part in, and I think the transition came from the African chilies that they would use in their sauces to bring in that, the
spicy, okay.
And I think they made a bit of money, got that money back, and they said, let's start campaigning in South Africa. And they started coming up with these like really cool jokes.
Yes, and I must say they
the family, know, like it's always poking fun at politics.
Yeah.
And now I think 2018 they've got about 340 stores nationwide. So they've grown the South African market as well, but still their biggest
It's
players
overseas.
is overseas.
I mean, I was surprised when they were like, Nando's in America is also huge.
Look, and I think a big part of why they struggled in South Africa is not because they didn't have a good idea.
Yeah.
The idea was good. The environment wasn't, because people were already used to other brands. Like
Yes, Chicken Licken.
your Chicken Licken, your KFC, KFC being the big one, right?
Yeah.
And do you want to compete against a giant like that? Or do you go and flourish somewhere else and then come back later? And I think when they came back, I mean, these days there's so many different ones, like
Barcelos and
there's
Nando's.
so many ones, and they're all doing well.
Yeah.
I'm a big kind of guy for competition.
Yes.
Where there's competition, it means you learn from each other.
Yes.
It means you're basically
Society
dominating a
actually
market.
has, and society also benefits because you're going to have to up each other to get the.
For sure.
Yeah, okay.
Another interesting fact, I don't know if you know, me being a designer and liking typography, is that I don't know if you've noticed, but all of Nando's titles and their typography is always angled to some extent.
Yes.
And it's angled at 87 degrees. Do you know
Okay.
why?
Why?
Because they acquired the business in 1987.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
You see, so it's these little things that, you know,
Yeah.
as business owners, you can kind of poke fun. And
Yes, that's actually very cool.
no one will ever realize, but I mean...
At 87 degrees, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think another company that kind of saw a need in the market and the users in South Africa was that we have a 60 million plus population, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them are struggling to manage their funds and create wealth for themselves and their families, right? So I don't know if you've heard of the company called 227.
Yes.
So 227 started out by Christu and Kenny, that they built a tool that will help people essentially save and invest and kind of manage your funds better, right? Make money work for you, essentially. And I think they kind of try to go through a lot of these angel investing companies to try and get funding to really blow it up, because they knew that their market is, you know, the lower to medium class people that kind of need these
tools.
The higher class already has the money and the wealth to kind of pay for experts to help them. So they kind of made this tool for the broader public, and Old Mutual saw it, acquired it, and you know, you would think, okay, cool, a brand like Old Mutual would take it and it would flourish. But Old Mutual at the time, I think, had quite a lot of hands on different puppets.
Yes.
And for a while, it kind of stagnated and didn't do that well. And I think that was in 2013 that Old Mutual acquired them, and then...
Yes, then it's old, eh?
It's been there, right? And then it was sitting there from 2013 to about 2016, 17.
Yeah.
And Old Mutual realized the potential that they were kind of missing on this, and they decided to hand over the reins to Benito, and Benito then rebranded in 2017, and then they called it Vault 22. Still kind of associated with Old Mutual, but kind of a standalone tool now. And they started like allowing people to invest. They've touched on some of the crypto space. They've created some asset management tools.
Okay.
And it's a quite of affordable way to manage your wealth.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a
So what, is it not called 22/7 anymore?
It's called Vault 22 now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Everyone still calls it 22/7.
Yeah, exactly. so I mean, with rebranding, it's a bit of a risk all the time.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And sometimes to me, it's senseless to rebrand, but sometimes you kind of need that
100%, especially for your connotation
kick
of
under
that.
the butt to get going again. You know, so I think for a lot of older people that knew 227, when it changed, they kind of didn't trust it anymore. So I don't know, like this company, who's this new company asking me for my details?
Yeah.
So it did a lot of damage, but I think again, like most companies, you see the hurdle, you see how we can innovate.
Yeah.
And I think they've, instead of trying to persuade their original customer base, they decided, you know what, let's not focus on that. Let's bring new tools that can solve new problems and push it to market for new markets. And they're doing pretty well, I think. I wouldn't say they are failing.
Yes. Question on this, actually, maybe stopping this. I want to put a pause on this very thing around how maybe pivoting could go wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you know any companies that they pivot? I mean, it's as you say, sometimes you have to pivot.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you have to kind of like, and you mentioned Old Mutual, they had their hands in many pots. But can you think of companies maybe that did do the pivot thing, or they did try to go into another market, but also failed because they maybe underestimated it, they went in too early, like things like that?
So I think, first of all, let's define fail, right?
Yeah.
It's such a harsh word, and I think it's like, to me, failure is just another opportunity.
100%.
Right? But besides that, I think a company that comes to mind is Sweep South.
Okay.
So Sweep
That's
South
interesting.
was created by a duo couple
Yes.
that were a busy couple from Cape Town, and they just couldn't get the time to, get to cleaning their house. They're always busy. They, both of them own businesses.
Yeah.
They saw this opportunity, they were confronted with people with joblessness. No one has work. And they thought, let's start a company where we essentially clean office spaces for different companies, and we'll basically create an app eventually that will allow people to, select from a profile, almost like Uber, on demand, where I want cleaning, how much I want cleaning, giving the user a bit more flexibility, right? They started doing that, went great for a while, and then they realized that they're actually creating a bit of a security risk. They're not really helping, the mental health of these ladies that are working for them. And they started realizing that, now these ladies are like, okay, I can rather work for Sweep South, where instead of working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, I can plan better and be a bit more flexible. But they ended up being exploited by the customers. So customers would kind of pay for X, but demand A, B, and C, and D.
Inside of that,
when they're there, they're voiceless, right? So they don't have the ability to, take it further. And they saw a decline in their membership. A lot of people stopped using them because there was a bit of a
pushback,
a confrontation between the ladies that were cleaning versus the people that were ordering them.
And at that time, I'm guessing, obviously, the ladies that are cleaning are your product. And if you don't have the product, what are you selling?
They're the backbone, right? So then they kind of realized that we need to bring in something like what Uber has, where it's not just the customer that can rate our ladies, but the ladies can rate our customers.
Okay.
Right? And then based on that, we'll charge them rates. And then they brought out these packages to better define what that lady is supposed to clean and what not. And then I think things got better. But there was also a point where
they raised a lot of money.
Quickly, man. They were like, I think they had at a point 30,000 ladies working for them. They were doing well, and then they started kind of realizing that, whoa, we can't kind of just work on this for the rest of our lives. Because first of all, it's not a constant because it's a flexible product. People are not like, constantly looking for, so they ended up having more employees during COVID that they can actually kind of use. So a lot of those ladies kind of struggled and they didn't know where to find jobs. So luckily, they then supported these ladies during that difficult time. And they started creating other avenues for them, helping them with investments and the lot. And now they've kind of pivoted into other industries where they don't just do, personal homes, but they do office buildings. They're doing aftercare, or like your specialized care for elderly people. They're bringing a lot more dynamic to it. I think the CEO that took over was about 2 years ago, a white lady in Cape Town took over, and she started structuring it in a different way, saying that they want to be the number one in the world when it comes to like these flexible maintenance and care. And I think there's companies since Sweep South have started that are now working in the same manner for like DIY type of thing, a tiler, plumber, that type of stuff as well.
Back in the days, and we talk, and maybe it kind of like talks to this topic. My first company that I started with one of my friends, Ayanda, it was like more of a freelancing company, right? And we obviously, when you go into business, you kind of like have to understand who your competitors are and everything. And there was a company called Versifier. And Versifier was also, I think, a Cape Town company. It's like all these Cape Town companies, I'm telling you. That's where the money is.
Something else is happening there behind the mountains.
But what then happened was that Versifier was also a freelance company. But as time went on, they quickly pivoted into as you're saying, and this is back then, I mean, this was 2016, 17. They pivoted into a company that does all like the maintenance guys, the cleaning guys, and everything else.
Yeah.
And I wondered, at that time, I was like, man, these guys, I see, it's like they struggled with that, because obviously now you compete against the big guys in those kind of industries for what you call this, the industries of freelancers, like freelance.com and those big guys. And what I'm guessing happened is that these guys, they were like, okay, let's pivot into that area, getting people for construction, for instance, people that are in, again, more, it's freelancers, but from a different angle in that sense.
So I like what you're saying there, because when most people start an idea and they want to bite the whole elephant in one bite, and then they realize after 3 or 4 years of struggling that the only way to get this elephant child is to start small.
Yes.
And find your niche.
Yes.
And when you have that niche, it's a lot easier to move fast and quick, because your ability to understand your customer is a lot better.
Yes.
Than trying to throw a big net hoping you'll catch a few fish.
Yeah. That is interesting, because look, I don't know where Versifier is now. I don't know if they failed, because clearly Sweep South is bigger. So, and these guys started, I think, around about the same time, or maybe just before Sweep South, because when we came in,
they're still flourishing.
Who knows? Yeah, but it'll be interesting to kind of like understand as well. But again, my big thing as well is it's all well and said, it's all cool, and that you pivot, but I think more so is you need to pivot where you know it's going to work out as well. It has to be almost like a calculated risk, because sometimes people go in and they say, oh, everybody's going into AI. Yeah. I'm going to go into AI.
Exactly.
And what's going to happen? So saturated, and then what ends up happening is you fail anyway, because you're going into a place.
I think from all the self-help and motivational books I've read in my life, they all have this undertone of fail fast.
Yes.
Right? Because you have to fail and to improve.
Yes.
But also, while you're failing fast, every time you fail, it's an opportunity that you've learned from a customer.
Yes.
And a lot of businesses, back in the day, it was super expensive to do user research. Only big companies can afford it, and that's why they stayed on the top. But nowadays, there's so many tools that you can use that can allow you to really understand your customer better, right? So that you can really craft your service or your product towards your customer.
Yes.
And I think for most companies, if I could get any advice to young people trying to start a business, or even existing businesses, is that don't just plan because you and your wife and her sister and mother thinks it's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Don't put money into something that you don't know would work.
Yeah.
Test it, right?
Yeah.
Be iterative, be agile, and kind of compound your learnings.
Yes.
And eventually you'll start realizing other opportunities that you would have never thought of.
Yeah.
And I think that's where most of the successful companies go these days, is they don't just kind of try and build this white elephant and hope it gets consumed.
Yeah.
They're really smart at how they approach and how they deploy. And a good example of this is if you think of WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Right? It was in a time where BlackBerry was a bit of a...
BBM and everything, yeah.
And it was like the free messaging, and everyone's like, Then VoIP and all that came along, and WhatsApp was like, well, we can help you send a message.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, cool. 6 months later, they were able to show you that someone read the message.
Yeah.
6 months later, they allowed you to do a voice note.
Yes.
And 6 months later, they did voice and video call. And they iteratively improved their system to a point where now they've got WhatsApp Business.
Yes.
They've got groups.
And even then, the way they're doing WhatsApp Business as well, and I'm guessing, obviously Meta is the company that has that, and
Meta
how
basically acquired them. So.
and how they acquired them is they didn't just go in and say, oh, let's start a business in there. They understand. That's a cool thing about what Meta does, right? Is that they understand they're in the business of people communicating.
Yeah, it's agility, man. They understand that.
Exactly, and they kept it there in the long. And people wondered, but why would you buy WhatsApp? You know what I mean? Like, why would you buy WhatsApp? And for a long time, WhatsApp was just WhatsApp. You didn't pay, you didn't do anything, and it was just like what?
So
and
why do you think they bought WhatsApp?
No, well, now I know because they're doing ads now, and I was like, I saw it. It's like for 10 rand.
Data. It's the data. It's the. I think also Facebook was in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Right? They bought Instagram when Instagram brought out the stories.
Yes.
They bought Instagram as they knew that these guys are going to compete with us.
Well, in fact, they bought Instagram, and before the Instagram was they wanted to buy Snapchat, and Snapchat said no.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they brought out stories to battle with Snapchat, and they killed Snapchat.
Basically, they copied Snapchat.
Yeah, 100%. Well, everything that he did, he copied.
Exactly. I have a colleague, Kirk, that works with me, and he often says that good artists steal. Great artists know what to steal.
Yes, Apple being one of them.
Yeah, all of them are. I think the idea of originality is a myth. There's no such thing because of the theory of interpretation, right?
Yes.
Hermeneutics is the theory of interpretation that says that nothing that you look at or touch or feel or do is original because you were influenced by someone or something.
Yeah.
And every time you look at something, you would have gained a new thought of it.
Yeah.
So there is no such thing as originality. It's essentially how you package it and how you make it available for people to feel like it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So to me, great ideas is a bit of a myth. But I mean, like WhatsApp is a good example. I mean, they're going to launch a e-commerce part of it now where,
so they're
instead
doing
of
it,
just listing your services, you will be able to check out and pay.
So almost like what, and maybe I guess that's a good way of seeing something that failed in the market. But they're basically doing what WeChat did, because WeChat was just a chat.
Yes, exactly.
And then eventually, and I remember in South Africa they started trying to sell money and a super app kind of thing. Yeah,
they're morphing it into one. It's the same thing with your phone.
Yeah.
Back in the day, a phone was used to message.
Yes, and call.
And phone, and you played snakes on it.
Yes.
Right. Then there's like,
Space
okay,
Impact.
let's bring polyphonic ringtones. Ooh,
Yes.
I'll pay for that. Then they were like, cool, let's bring
True
the color,
tone.
the true tone. It evolves.
Yeah.
Now, these days, you've got a compass in here. You've got something that monitors your heart for people that need it.
Yeah.
You've got tools that manage your daily life. You've got a calendar. You've got so many tools in your pocket that it's almost like, the power of it in your hands is bigger than what people supposedly went to the moon with.
Yeah, actually, that's true. That's funny, yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, what else do you have for me?
Another topic that I maybe want to touch on is, the key areas of success in modern business.
Okay.
Right? What does it take to pivot and to kind of stay dialed in, right?
Yeah.
I think it's easy to say, you need a pivot, but how do you pivot and when do you pivot and how do you know you're making the right decision, right?
Yeah.
So normally it's like the better you get at trusting your intuition, the better you'll pivot. And I think it's about not keeping your eyes closed, not becoming complacent, and making sure that you're always kind of looking at how the market is being influenced, whether it's politically, whether it's economically, culturally, things play around, right? And you have to see opportunity for when it's there. I think if you can focus on localized innovation, so no longer thinking I need to have a corner cafe where I'm selling bread and milk to the 20 houses around me, but more with the technology that I have now, how can I have one shop, multiple locations, all on one integrated system, so I can keep track of them, keep track of my employees, my intake of my money, connecting my business with third-party tools like QuickBooks, and, Trello, and all these different apps, and how do they come together and kind of make your life simpler as well as your staff, and then having that digital-first mindset, I think, is super crucial. You leverage low-cost tech we don't always have to pay premium prices for ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You can also use the freer ones, the Gemini, but play around with things that get released, right?
Yeah. You say something like that, and it's actually the barriers to entry now are getting even more scarier because not scarier in the sense that it's becoming much more easier. The other, what is it? Last week, I was sitting with a friend of mine, and I was telling him not my frustrations, but I was just chatting to him around our developing of our system and stuff, and he mentioned something. He's like, "Do you know this company called Lovable.ai?" And I'm like, "Lovable AI?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Go check it out."
Yeah, no code.
It broke my mind because and it was free.
Yeah.
I could build. I've learned to develop to a certain extent, but I wouldn't say give me a project and I'm going to do it quick. I know how to code whatever databases and everything else. Yeah. From a front end point of view, cool. I can do kind of like something, but full stack and everything, that's going to be hard for me. This thing did everything. And you talk about 22/7. I myself, I have a spreadsheet that I use, right? Because I'm a bit more detailed. I want to know what I bought, where I bought it, And I took that, my spreadsheet, and I put it in this lovable.com, and I prompted it, spent about 4 hours around it and everything for free. Can I tell you right now that thing is working? It is working right now as you speak. It didn't even take a week of me doing this, and I'm just like, because I was using it for myself anyway.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can use it for myself there. It's still free. I'm not paying a cent. I've given it to a few other people, and they're using it as well. All in 1 week.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So I think the craft becomes because there's so many tools to our disposal.
Yeah.
You need to be able to still craft not a product, a service, but an experience.
Yes.
Right? Customers are not worried about whether I'm using this app or that app or
Yes.
this app.
Is how am I feeling when I use it?
Yeah, they feel like, is Excel doing it for me?
Yeah.
Or is it feeling like, I don't really know how to use it that much, right? If you can create an experience where people learn as they go, they don't see it as a hurdle.
Yeah.
Right? And I think where all these tools that allow you to have no code or whatever, it's going to force developers to become savants.
Yes.
Because they know how it really works in the back
At the back end, yes.
Right? And they are the ones that can manipulate it better.
Yes.
But for the average Joe out there, there's so many ideas that you can just now kind of, instead of where you had to before put down 100 to R500,000 to kind of develop an app
a
for
prototype,
yourself. Even a prototype. Now you can push it to market, test it.
Yeah.
Until you finalize a concept with a customer.
And then you get the money to do it.
Say, okay, cool, let's build and keep the propriety.
Yes.
Let's keep the copyright.
The IP and everything,
of everything. And I think that way it makes it super easy. It's like, so with my business, for instance, I have automated so much procedures, right? Where I used to have a lot more staff, kind of made them less during COVID.
Yes,
because of like I kind of equipped them with more tools.
Yeah.
So now instead of having one role that used to do X, Y, and Z, now that same person can kind of cover 3 other people's roles.
Yes.
Because of the tools to their disposal, right? So now instead of like trying to, spoon feed every situation in the process, there's a lot of admin that you can just automate from using APIs, right?
Yeah.
So I don't, as a business owner, have any apps or tools that I have coded myself.
Yes.
Right? But I'm in the business of coding and tools for other people.
Yes.
But what I'm good at is exploring a lot of different tools.
Yes.
Right? And getting them, testing them, grinding them, testing, see what their limitations are.
Yeah.
And then I can go and code things. But during that process, I can really streamline a lot of things. I mean, for a friend that's got a law firm, they used to struggle with when they've got cases to go through files.
Yes.
Right? So I showed them how to digitalize their files and keep it in a vault. And then when AI came out, I created a GPT for him.
Yes.
That can
onto that
create
vault.
customer profiles for
Yes.
him. He doesn't have to do a thing.
Yes.
It goes and searches through all the data that he has in the case files and everything, and it kind of makes his suggestions based on South African law. And obviously, like anything, we make mistakes, but at least it's summarizing things for you before a case, so that you have at your disposal quick facts, then you can approach it. And now, instead of like, let's say I could do 10 clients a month, I can now potentially, as one single person, do 100 clients.
100%, because now it's more efficient. I'm
still charging the same amount.
Yeah.
I'm just doing a lot more than I used to.
Yes, and that's cool. It's productivity. Yeah. It's pushing out productivity so that you can do more. Because at the end of the day, look, it is scary, right? That all of this is happening, and we know, we know that it's going to create other jobs, AI and all these things, all these tools are going to create other jobs. Cool. But for now, those people that is taking over the jobs for, like now it's not as easy. In fact, 5 years back, to be a software developer or someone in UX or UI was a very exciting thing to be in. Yeah. Because, listen, everyone, you need, that was a skill that we didn't have. A lot of people need it now. Now, junior developers, for instance, now are easily taken. Their jobs are they're taken over by this Lovable.dev,
like,
Bolt Dev.
I think a lot of mundane jobs, especially for juniors, right? They put in a company and then they're a gear that solves smaller problems, and then senior staff would manage them.
Yes.
Right? The ability for senior staff to manage has become a lot easier, right? Giving more flexibility for those junior staff members.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that for you to not be replaced by AI, right? You need to start thinking more business to see how your role can overlap to other
so it augments basically,
business. Exactly. And you'll be surprised, man. I've looked at a 14-year-old the other day show me what he does with ChatGPT, and I was just like, okay, I need to really pick my game up. But I mean, there will always be kickback, dude. An example, if you're very bored one day, go and Google the newspaper articles when the calculator came out.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
They were so like, this is the end of the world.
Yes.
You know, and life went on.
Yes.
You know, there's a transition, sure.
But eventually, it plateaus. It has to plateau eventually, right?
I think people that say, the robots are going to take over the universe, it could.
Yeah.
But I mean, so could a star hit the earth. Yeah. There's always possibility.
But I think there's a certain level of, and with AI especially, and look, we can say that because the calculator is exactly the same, but there's a certain level of, not risk per se, but there's a certain level of it's going to take over that AI does that others that don't. And why I say that is AI is going to do exactly what Facebook, Instagram did to Twitter did to the newspaper or did to the magazine.
Exactly.
They're still there. You know what I mean? They're still there. But how many people are in media? But what it then did though is it created influencers. And what used to be a news article...
New markets, new roles, it changes, right? It will change. Like, I think people that cry out and say AI this, AI that, I totally get it, number one. But I think it's also something that this is a moment of pivot.
Yes.
If you realize what's happening, because you're dialed in, you can seek opportunity from that.
Yes.
And capitalize so that in 10 years' time, you're not left behind.
Yes.
Right? So it's definitely important. And I think that people need to kind of learn to kind of be intuitive enough to pick up on things.
Yes.
Because things will always change. It's inevitable.
100%.
So I think it's about how you utilize things, how you kind of take the opportunity and turn it into an opportunity instead of thinking, this is going to drag me down. Yeah.
Okay, so use it to advantage, pivot with what you know is going to help you.
Pivot,
and as you're saying, 100%, it's not, if you're a company right now that's not using AI, I can confidently say you're probably going to close your doors sooner rather than later if you don't work with it.
Even AI is what we think of AI now is going to be different in 5 to 10 years.
100%, especially because what has happened.
The reason why I tell you this is because people are like talking about AI as if it started a year ago.
Yeah.
It's been there for 10 years or more.
Yeah,
right?
100, no, in fact, even more.
Is not a new thing.
100%.
Machine learning is what AI is. Right?
Yes.
It's using data.
That's already past data, yeah.
The nice thing with the tech industry is that there's lots of data.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how we're now basically using our developers to build machine learning algorithms to create AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Right? So I think it's not new.
Yeah.
It's just new to the greater
society,
public.
yes.
Because for the first time, it's affordable enough.
Yes.
Because you can pay $20 for ChatGPT premium account.
And it actually is more usable. Because back then, as you're saying, for rightfully, it is cheaper to have a ChatGPT, but at the same time, the AI side, I mean, what AI used to do was more enterprise level.
Exactly.
But it's come to the consumer.
Because those are the guys that could afford a
Exactly.
team of 30 to
do
work,
the AI.
you know, and train these algorithms to work for them.
I mean, I can't think of a time right now. I can't think of a time where I did not have ChatGPT or any of these other ones.
I don't know if that's sad or amazing.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I do everything with it. I mean,
it does a lot.
I learned how to code using ChatGPT.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I, being a newly homeowner, I would go and I would get a quote here and there, and then I would take that quote and punch it into ChatGPT and dissect it for me and say, okay, listen, I'm not going to pay 250,000 rand for a kitchen.
Yeah.
How do I do this myself?
DIY, yeah. Where do I go?
It says, okay, how skilled are you? Then I'm like, no, I'm not skilled at all. I can barely do drill work or, slam a hammer around. And then it says, okay, well, noted. And then it starts picking up a whole program for me, and it breaks it into compartments on how to address it and how to approach this project on a step-by-step basis.
Yeah.
And I've tried it. I've recently built myself a Boma at home all by myself with these guns, and it's like I saved myself, 50,000 here, 50,000 there.
So and it's exactly what I'm saying now around, if you're not using AI, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot, because that 250,000 rand 3 years back would have been, okay, I need to save for it and buy it.
Exactly.
And other people's jobs would have been in there. Now, that person does not have a way. Like now you gave me a great idea.
Exactly.
Do you think I'm going to go and buy a 250?
No. And the thing is, look, I'm not talking down upon guys working in the construction industry. So those guys need to realize that, there's people starting doing this.
Yes.
Then they would be like, because I'm in this industry for 20 odd years, let me team up and bring 10 guys into play.
Yes.
Because now I have ChatGPT that can write quotes for me.
Yes.
Assemble scope of works.
Yes.
Let me manage 10 people, groups of 10 squads now.
Yes.
Now my business is flourishing. Now I'm the know-how guy. So it can slice your bread and butter.
At the same time. I like it. Ian, I think this is we can talk forever, and especially around it. Exactly, and it feels like we haven't done anything. But I mean, again, maybe the word for today is pivoting, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to give one final word or one final bring it back home for me and for everyone watching as well around pivoting, or around what you kind of got from doing the research around this?
I think almost tying into your topic, right?
Yeah.
Fail fast.
Okay.
Right? Fail fast. Learn to not be disrupted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Learn to love digital.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, it's there.
Coming. Yeah, it's here.
And utilize tools as much as you can, wherever you can. Don't just try and kind of do tunnel vision in your industry. It's about time you start seeing, how can I really take tools around myself and use that to my advantage.
Yes.
And then the number one thing is stay dialed in. Because a business is something you've grown from a small inyane.
Yeah.
Right? And it grows up, and you have to feed this kid.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to not cry when you hit your leg or bump your feet or bump your elbow or whatever. You put a plaster on it, you keep running, you fail, and eventually you'll create an outstanding citizen. So it's the same.
I like that. I like that. Thank you for that. I think one thing I can take away, and it's actually your analogy around climbing a mountain, is be a business that climbs a mountain, but more so be a business that is able to climb down a mountain and into another mountain
exactly.
as well. Because if you don't climb that other mountain, with a smile, if you don't climb that other mountain, you will end up not succeeding.
There's always a new adventure.
100%. Okay, thank you everyone for again tuning in to Fail Forward Friday. This actually was a good and interesting. I would like to have you back sometime as well.
Thanks, of course.
And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment. We've been seeing your comments in the comment section. And yeah, tell us what else you would want us to talk about. Tell us what other interesting ways people are failing, and yeah, we will probably invite you again to. That's exactly what happened with you, actually. We will probably invite you to speak with us around failing forward, because we do not want you to see. We don't want to see you failing and not failing forward. Okay, thank you again, and see you on the next episode.